Welcome to Inner Niña Podcast, embracing your inner child while leading with strength. This is a space for Latina women and beyond who are ready to break generational cycles and lead from a place of wholeness. Together, we will reconnect with the little girl inside, the one who dreamed big, felt deeply, and longed to be seen, and honor her as we step in fully into our power. Join me, Maria Benitez, for heartfelt reflections and empowering conversations about identity, healing, culture, and leadership. Each episode invites you to embrace your inner niña while leading with authenticity, compassion, and courage. Welcome back to Inner Niña. Today we welcome a special guest, Maria Gonzalez. Maria is a survivor of childhood trauma, which resulted in decades of struggles. Despite the hardships she faced, and after more than 40 years out of school, she persevered and received her GED. She followed by obtaining her associate's degree in AOD counseling, sociology, and behavioral health from Miracosta College. She is now mentoring other women with similar life experiences and is part of the Homegirls de Corazon. Her inspiring journey of survival and perseverance is featured in a recently released book called From the Street to the Seats, Volume 2. Welcome, Maria, or Mary, as she prefers. Thank you for joining us today and supporting our Inner Niña journey. How are you?
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this time and space to be able to get on here and speak with you.
My pleasure. Thank you for joining us today. So tell us a little bit about your journey. Who is Maria, her background, and what are you working on?
Okay, well, first off, I want to start off by saying that I am a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I'm also a Phi Theta Kappa student at Miracosta College. Earning my associate's degree. I'm ready to graduate this semester. I'm a recovering addict, formerly ex-incarcerated felon, and I'm 60 years old. So yes, I am very nervous. I'm also part of Transition Scholars, which is a program at Miracosta College for formerly ex-incarcerated felons. I'm a peer mentor for them. I help them feel comfortable when they come to campus and get them the resources and get them connected to the right people so they can start signing up for school and also work on their journey to earning their degrees.
So I know you have a very interesting story, and thank you for sharing that with me prior to us joining today. And it's a story that needs to be told, right? You are a survivor. You come from Mexican background. You mentioned your mom is from Zacatecas. So you have like the Mexican roots and tradition with you. But you have mentioned that your childhood was not easy. Walk us through that part. What part of that you want to share?
Okay. First off, I'm a victim of trauma. As a child, I was abused sexually, which led on for a very long time. But it was something that when I tried to speak up about it back then, and being from the culture, being Mexican and stuff like that, we didn't really mention stuff like that, or it wasn't believed. And it's something like you try to come out and speak up about it. It wasn't really accepted. Like, no, we don't talk about that. So, and it went on for a while, which really evolved into like a crazy roller coaster for me, because instead of them believing me or trying to like, okay, what happened? I started using drugs, which went on for a very long time. The drugs was a way for me to numb the pain and not feel anything. It went on for a while. I became a really heavy addict where I started not caring about school, not caring about myself, and not caring about anybody. I had no morals. I was, jumping in from one relationship to another, abuse, violence, just not caring, thinking that maybe I deserved it because of what happened to me as a child. My parents just they were working full time all the time. But I come from a background of 5 siblings. My mother's from Zacatecas. My dad is the Mexicano, but he was born and raised here in Solana Beach. Actually, that's where our family roots started. My mom being here illegally back then, my predator knew the right way to keep me like, no, más que digas algo, tu mamá se puede ir con la migra and stuff like that. Which was really hard because I would hate to come home from school because I could smell the alcohol. So I knew that relative was there. My parents were the type of parents that would anybody that would come from Tijuana and they needed a place to stay. It was an open door at our house, to help them get on their feet. But them not knowing they were letting the devil in the house, and I was the oldest of the 5. I have a handicapped brother who's nonverbal and he he was able to speak. So that's what really went on for a while. And my parents were always thinking that I was just like a bad child, rebellious. And instead of asking, Mija, what's wrong? What can we do to change things? They sent me away to a sheriff's camp back then, which is like when you have troubled teens, uncontrollable children. So I guess they thought it would be easier to send me away and teach me a lesson. And no, that didn't work. It just made me angrier. It made me more rebellious, and it got me into the gang life. It got me into the dealing drugs, selling drugs, and just like, yeah.
Sorry to hear that. And I know that's still a very painful part of what we're working with our Inner Niña community is healing those wounds that we still carry to this day. You mentioned your mother, your grandmother, but as you share the story and I'm seeing the pain in your face and, your voice, you still that little girl. You're still that little girl that is having to relive that and counting on the people that were supposed to protect you and hear you. And they didn't. And hopefully that's something that we can try to change, right? Because you mentioned earlier is culture. Culture has a lot to it. But how do we break those barriers, those cycles that now you are a grandmother? I'm sure that you became a very protective mom because that's something that comes out when we're victims of some kind of trauma. We become very protective of our children to protect them from whatever we had to go through, right? And you're still in that journey. And I know that you mentioned that they sent you away thinking that was going to fix you instead of asking what was wrong and maybe helping you in that way. They sent you away, and that actually created an angrier version of you, which kind of propelled you to do other things into adulthood. From that point on, what triggered? I think you mentioned that you also had problems with the law, right? So,
Yes.
how did that happen?
Well, after, getting into these crazy relationships, I mean, I had babies daddies that weren't good at all. The first one that I thought was going to be like, okay, I'm going to run away. As soon as I turned 18, I said, okay, that's it. Me voy a salir de la casa and everything's going to get better because I'm going to be away from all the mess that I was in. I got out of the neighborhood, which moved to Oceanside. And no, the first baby daddy was not, no, he was on drugs, very abusive. Not only abusive, but he was mentally, physically abusive. And he was on drugs, which just spiraled. And yeah, I almost lost my life in that one, my first child. So I had to get out of that relationship. And it was just a cycle, just a cycle of bad relationships, bad choice in men. And it affected my children, because I didn't grow up having the cariño, the affection. And what I did get was the sexual abuse, So once I started, my children, I wasn't able to give them the love that they deserved. I wasn't able to be that mama cariñosa because I wasn't the touchy feeling kind of mom, because for me it was just like wasn't no me nací because I was cold. I was cold. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's just the way I was. I know my children needed that affectionate mom, but I wasn't able to be that mom they wanted. The cycle continued, the drugs, the meeting the wrong people, and then living in San Diego. And then I got connected with gente más poderosa. Um, I would say human trafficking, which I was bringing people across the border, with their documents, bringing them to the United States. Many times getting caught and sometimes just released because, I don't call that lucky. I just call that like, wow. So from there, it was it led to incarceration, federal incarceration, like being away from my kids and then my kids going from house to house because they wouldn't take my family all together. My kids, one would stay at my parents, another at my sisters, and then just yeah. So I wasn't the perfect mom. So I own that now. I own that. I know I was lost in addiction. My kids know that, I was an addict, but they see me different now. The good thing is it took me a while to get myself in check. I know that. It took me a while to get out of that cycle of denial. Mi mamá nomás usaba drogas, andaba de loca, siempre tenía los homies in the house. And it took me a lot to you know what, this is not the way life is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be that type of mother that just have all these people come over to your house and using drugs. And I wasn't the perfect role model, A couple of times incarceration, I've had a couple of procedures done on my heart where I've nearly lost my life, I nearly lost my life to drug overdoses. But I think of it as a way like, wow, I've been through these near death experiences that God has not taken me away. You know, I am where I am now. I decided to go back to school. I said, okay, I'm 58 years old. What am I going to do? I know I had tried to get my high school diploma back then, but it didn't work out because I wasn't ready. I was still using, off and on, still using. I said, okay, no, I'm going to try it. I tried it. So I did. After almost 40 plus years not going to school, here I am walking into the CLC, Miracosta. I was like, okay, I want to try. It was all online classes, a couple in person, because with the use of so many years, using drugs for so many years, I mentally was like already thinking, no, no la vas a hacer. Eres bien burra. You've been using drugs for so long. Your brain is fried, right? So I didn't believe in myself. So I signed up. I started. First, I started with one class at a time. I'm like, okay, let me see if I could do this. And it was kind of hard in the beginning because it's like, after I got like, okay, I got the hang of this, then I started taking on 2 or 3 classes at a time. And I felt like I was thrown into the lion's den because I'm, oh God, you're throwing me in here with a bunch of um, high school students that are like way younger than me. Yo soy la más grande. And I'm like, oh my God. But I did it. I graduated at the CLC Miracosta College. I was picked to do my commencement speech at my graduation. It was like, oh my God. From there, I met somebody else who said, you know what? You have potential. You know what? We just like, we're here for you. We want to guide you. And we know you can do it. So I'm like thinking, oh my God, I got my diploma. That's what I wanted. I got my high school diploma. I got it on a piece of paper. It says my name on it. Something that like, you know, I know my dad, he always wanted that for me. He would come home sometimes a little tipsy and he thought he failed me. He like, lo único que quiero es que seas algo en la vida, en que te fallé, I fail you. But you know what? After like, coming out of my addiction, coming out of my behaviors, I know it wasn't my parents' fault what happened to me. It wasn't my parents' fault. I wasn't able to give my goodbyes to my dad. I wasn't able to like, hey, you know what, Dad? I'm doing okay. Look at me now. I'm a high school graduate with a diploma. I'm a college graduate, graduating in May with my associates. I have my transfer ready for Cal State San Marcos, 4U University, to earn my bachelor's. And like, oh my God, I've come such a long way. My kids are proud of me. They look at me differently. My grandkids, I'm being an example for my grandkids. I have 9 grandkids. Okay, my oldest is 13 and 14. And they see me, they see all the things that I'm involved in with Homegirls de Corazon. I don't know if I'm going a little too much here, but I'm involved with a nonprofit organization, which is called Homegirls de Corazon. And we work with system impacted youth and women in recovery. So we do a lot of community events. We go to the YTC, which is the juvenile hall. And we speak to the young women in there. We do facilitation groups, which is where I get to actually share my story to them and facilitate groups of the young women. I mean, I know I'm going here and there and everywhere because it's just a lot. It's just a lot to try to speak up and put it all in one big story here.
But it's okay. It's your story. And I want to say thank you, first of all, for sharing your story. It's an incredible story. And one thing, the takeaway from what you're sharing, besides you're a survivor, you're able to now pay it forward because your story will inspire someone else. And the one thing that you had, even though it took you however many years, you had ganas. So don't compare yourself with like the fresh out of high school students, because that doesn't take away the fact that you had ganas to learn. And now that you have the ganas, you got your GED, you're going to get your associate's degree.
Diploma.
Diploma, correction.
Yes,
Diploma.
yes. To me, it's a big difference, because
Yes.
it's not the GED. It's not like, oh, I have to study all these tests. It's actually a high school diploma, which I should have gotten when I was back in high school. I should have, echarle ganas pero no, por gracia de lo que pasó, what happened to me in my life,
And now you're about to get your associate degree and continue to get your bachelor's degree in the future. So you're on the right track. And thank you for sharing that. The stories are not easy, but I love the fact that you are now talking to the youth that could use some guidance. And you mentioned something to the fact that you don't blame your parents, but did you ever get back with them and had a conversation as an adult to go over with them, what you went through as a child? Because sometimes when you're young, and speak as far as our culture, they don't believe the stuff that we tell them. Sometimes I have a conversation with my mom now at this stage, and I get her to see things from my point of view that otherwise she wouldn't have been able to see it when I was 9 or 10. Have you had that conversation with them?
Okay. That was part of my recovery journey was I met up, no, conocí una pastora, and she's actually, es Debbie Rivera. She's a Christian pastor. I met her many, many years ago. This was like just a little bit, I want to say like during COVID, like 2019, right? And she actually put together like a little format. Okay. She knew my story. I talked to her about everything. It was like Pandora's box. I had my story, everything stuffed in there for so many years. Niñez, mi grande, todo in that box. And I hadn't spoken to anybody about it. Because instead of the shame and the disgust that I felt for myself. Even though I had my children, I had those bad relationships, I had those men and everything, I still felt that disgust, that maybe I deserved it, you know. But like I said, I don't speak to people about God because it pushes them away, because that's how I was. When people would talk to me about God, I'd be like, where was God when I needed him? Because I had all this anger. So for some reason, this Pastor Debbie, she was put in this one place this one time that I met her. And she was sent by God because she was able to get me to open up and speak about my childhood traumas and speak about everything that I went to, the molestation, the rapes while I was on drugs, everything. And it was like I said, it was like opening Pandora's box. Everything came out. I mean, I cried. I cried. My God, I was relieved. It was like, my pain was like, let go. I let it out. And she said like, wow, it's like a bomb that needed to be released. So I was very grateful to have met her and very blessed, because from there she told me, okay, this is what you need to do. After my near-death experience, which was my first heart procedure, I didn't want to die having my children think, oh, my mom, nomás era una adicta, she was just a drug addict on drugs. She never did nothing. So the first step there was to talk to my children about my past, not just because, oh yeah, they already knew I was an addict. They already knew, I was, getting beat up and all this. But no, you know what, mijos, this and this is what happened. So that's what I had to do. There was 5 little steps that I did. So one was first talk to my children. And mind you, my kids are like already in their 30s, 36. And I lost one child, and my youngest one, she's 31. Okay. And with kids. So that was the first step. I speak to my children. It was hard. But they know and they understand. The hardest one was speaking to my mom. My dad passed away in 2011, so I wasn't able to. The hardest one was my mom. And to this day, yes, she's still in denial, and she won't accept it. Porque era parte de su familia de ella, it was from her side of the family. And another was to speak to my sister, and she's younger. When I left home, she was a little girl. We didn't have that connection of being sisters, growing up as sisters. And when things were going on, she got her first communion, she got her baptism, she got all these beautiful dresses, and I didn't. My monas, my heads, that they would destroy my Barbies and everything. And that was because, so I grew up not loving my sister, hating my sister because of what was going on. Because why is she getting all the pretty stuff and all that? So it wasn't her fault either. So I had to make amends and tell my sister, hey, mija, you know what? I didn't leave the house because I didn't want to be with you guys, with my brothers and them. It's because this was happening, and I figured, okay, I'm going to leave the house when I'm old enough, and that's it. Come to figure that when I finally talked to my sister, and mind you, we're all grown women, and, she has her life and she went through her stuff, comes out the same thing happened to her by the same person. So, you know what happened? That didn't tear us apart. That didn't make us enemies. It brought us closer together. It brought us closer together where, okay, my mom didn't want to believe me. She won't accept it from me. You've always been her baby, su niña ella. So we both went and faced my mom again. Mom, lo que te está diciendo Mary is true, because the same thing happened. And yes, it was the same person. So yeah. So I think the difference was that my mom's in denial and doesn't accept it from me is because yo era la más traviesa, la más canija, and, I didn't turn out perfect, and, who knows what traumas or what childhood that she went through. That's what I say. that she must have gone through some things but I'm okay with that now. I'm okay with that. And I let it go. I let it go. I let her know what happened. She sees my journey. She sees what I'm doing. She won't say every now and then that she is proud, but I know she's proud. I know she's proud. And as far as my dad, I go to the cemetery. When I graduated from Maricosta, I went and got a lot of balloons. It was more than a dozen. I went to the dollar store when it was dollar store. And then I did a big card. And I said, I did it, Dad. Your daughter finally did it. And I put, my high school diploma and put the balloons and I let it go. And it was like, ahí está, papá, that what he always wanted, your baby girl did it. Because I was his baby girl, era su niña, no entiendo why, but I did it.
That's great. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful story. And I'm sure he's proud of you from where he's at. And I'm glad that you got a chance to bond with your sister and talk to each other about the trauma. Did you ever get a chance to confront the family member by chance?
No, they got what they deserved. They passed away a horrible death. I'm not going to say how because I know family members will watch and they'll know. But I have other family members who are close and they don't know exactly who, but they know what happened because I'm very open now about it.
Yeah.
Because they see my journey. They see anything I share on social media is either about, what happened to me. And, I'm not ashamed to say I'm a recovering addict. So, I was traumatized, abused as a child. So I'm very open about it and they know my journey now. They're actually proud because they see what I'm doing. Working with homegirls at Corazon, I'm able to go and speak to the youth and share my story. We do facilitation groups. We do community events. So it's being connected and getting to network and meet the right people. Like Sandals, Sandy, I know her because it's a trip because, she knows my journey. She knows what I'm going through. And she actually knows one of the baby's daddies. I know it's funny to say it that way, but and she's like, "Oh, mija, when it's your time and you're gonna graduate, I want to bless you with a sash." So I messaged her the other day. I said, "Hey, mija, guess what? I'm actually doing it. I'm almost there. In May." And then she that's where she introduced me and told me about you. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down for that. Anything." So yeah, and Sandy knows me. She knows the drama that I went through living in San Diego and getting out of that relationship, was hard. And that one was like, yeah, that was very abusive. And so she knows my journey. So now she sees me now. She's seen how far I've come. I mean, from a recovering addict to not doing a thing, to be able to go back to school, to earn my diploma, earn my associates. And now with the nonprofit, I mean, I've been able to I went to Chicago. I've gone to Panama. And mind you, for someone que nunca salió del país más que when I was doing these things illegally from TJ to San Diego, to actually having a passport book to go to a plane, Panama, Chicago, who's never been out of the state, but it's doing good things now, I'm being able to share my story and actually, honestly, too, it feels good. It feels good because I'm able to give back. And I know what I want to do when I grow up. I want to be able to go out and give back to the community. I lived at St. Vincent de Paul's for almost 14 months as a single mom with my babies. The youngest, she was like, I want to say 6 months. Having to walk downtown 12th and Imperial with my children in the stroller because we would have to leave during the day, not be there all day, just to go out, buy snacks and hang out at the park. Mama soltera for a very long time. So yeah, I have an incredible long story. Yeah.
Incredible. But you are a survivor. And so
Yeah.
I am grateful that I get to have you here and you share your story. And to your point, we were introduced by a dear friend of mine, Sandy Barajas, who is the owner of this really cute Mexican apparel boutique located in Barrio Logan. I just saw her yesterday, actually, because
Yes.
it so happened that we're celebrating the entire month. It's, International Women's Month. And yesterday we were at a mariachi festival. So I'll be doing her episode soon as well. But she
Yeah. And
reached out to me. Yeah, she
watching your
reached out to me.
episodes, I was watching your
Yeah.
episodes. I'm like, oh my God, Mana, my cousin, she was with Mana. I'm like, oh my God, she probably knows my cousin because my cousin Amanda Shaney, she was with Mana like many, many years ago.
But yes, it was pretty great because a lot of us got a chance and we come out to support each other. Part of one of the things I want to do is create that opportunity for us to support each other. And when she reached out and she said, I know this incredible woman, she has an incredible story, you need to meet her. I'm like, Mándamela, mándamela,
Mándamela, yeah.
mándamela. And
And this
so,
has been an incredible journey because, through my networking and being around school, I got connected with NAMI, which is mental health. I got
mhm.
connected doing a peer support specialist training through them, and Cal Mesa, which is all peer support specialists with mental health. So I've earned my peer support specialist certificates. So I'm ready as soon as I finish, and then from here transfer to Cal State San Marcos and try to earn my bachelor's to be able to work in the field, with victims of trauma. I really want to be able to give back and do things in the community more. I know, work with women, victims of trauma, domestic violence, addiction, all that, you
That is
know.
great. So you are you're very involved with Homegirls de Corazon. What do you recommend for our guests who are watching, listening, to be involved, donate or participate event? Where can they reach, your nonprofit, the nonprofit? How can they get involved?
They can get involved. I have all the information on social media, which is Homegirls de Corazon. Maria, she's another board of directors, the main boss. I say my hermana. She's my hermana. Her Spanish is a little bit, we help her with the Spanish, but she understands. All the information is up on the website, Homegirls de Corazon. We take donations like journals, like for the youth, and even funds, whatever is, can be donated is fine because we give back and help our young ladies. Also, my school, Transition Scholars, we just finished the original copy of the book. And that's why I didn't want to spoil it, because we have an English teacher at Miracosta College who works with formerly incarcerated students who we are part of Transition Scholars, right? He teaches English 100, English 52, which is like an English class where he teaches us how to write our story. And well, I'm used to writing because ever since all the trauma that happened to me, I used to journal. I would, even if I didn't have no journal, I'd write on a napkin, write on a piece of paper. But that's how I would desquitarme, because I didn't have no one to talk to. I didn't have no mentors. I didn't have someone to go to and speak. So my therapy was writing and music, writing and music. I just write whatever I felt, lo que sentía, el coraje, and all this and all that. So actually taking that class brought out the inner, like, wow, I have so much to write about. And it's just like to be able to speak up about it now. And I don't feel the embarrassment. I'm like, this is like my first time speaking, like here, like a podcast with you. I've gone to the women's jails. I've spoken here for the foundation at Miracosta College to the people that give scholarships, sharing my story. And now I'm leaving a legacy because my grandchildren can read the book. They're going to see, they know grandma as a mentor. They know grandma works with system impacted youth. They see grandma do all her presentations, around the community. And now they say grandma's story is going to be a book, you know. They know grandma went through some, childhood traumas, which is like, they know grandma's a helicopter grandma also, because I make sure, because you know how that is when you've been through stuff like that, you trust no one. You trust no one. And I instill that in them, especially my granddaughter. Oh, you just got to watch out. You just can't, you can't because there's predators everywhere. So, eso sí soy. Sí soy una abuela bien, real protective, very protective.
I'm glad that you are. And I think also that's important to have. That's
Yeah.
okay. I'm not like I can relate. My kids
Yeah.
complain that I was too protective.
Yeah. And even
My
with,
response to them, I kept you safe, so complain all you
yeah.
want.
And,
I
and
kept you
even
safe.
with the young ladies that are incarcerated now that we have in group, sharing my story, and drugs doesn't get you anywhere. It gets you into things and situations like you wind up getting raped multiple times because you're under the influence and you don't know. So even if my story reaches one of those young little girls and saves their life, so when they get out, they could go to school, and this story here is not just to say, hey, look, era una loca, drogadita, whatever, look where she's at now. No, this is to show people that, look, no matter the age, no matter your nationality or whatever, look, I was able to go, I was able to do it. I'm still doing it porque tengo las ganas, like you say, and because to set an example, no matter whatever childhood tribulations you went through in life, you could always bounce back and do something.
Absolutely. Well said. Where can they get a copy of that book? I know it just came out, so it's fresh out of the printer. So the press release.
It's, yes, fresh off the printer. We will be having a book released. Yeah, book released, where we're going to get to promote this to the students and, of course, to the public. And as soon as that is ready and we know the date, I will let you know.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
And I'm the second story in the book, so I'm excited to look forward in there. It is
So
right
I'm
there.
gonna want a signed copy. So tell me
Yes,
where I need to buy one
I
because
will get you a personalized
I have
signature.
a little library of Latina books because, I always look for ways to get inspired. And I am
Yes.
so honored and fortunate that a lot of the hermanas and incredible women that are joining our community are authors, and Latina authors are very rare,
Yes.
to be honest. And the fact that we're growing that, and we want to make sure that we continue to kind of promote it so we can get more Latina authors to share their stories, because
Yes.
that's how we're going to grow.
Oh, that'll be great because that supports. I mean, these are other students who've been through other,
Yeah.
journeys in life, and it's incredible because it's like the teachers, they support us in a way where they make us feel the comfort, the trust, and for us to be able to write our story and to get it approved because it's a process. It's a process, the editing and everything. Like, wow, you don't have to be a perfect poet or anything like that. And I'm very happy because honestly, spoken word, if you know what spoken word poetry is, I was able to do a spoken word poem, and it's in the book. And it I'm not gonna ruin it, but I was able to, if you want, I can read it, but it's just
Yes,
like
please.
okay. This is like the first thing that I wrote, and it's in the book. So okay, innocence lost at 9, a shattered world in my eyes, speaking up but met with silence and lies. Told to keep quiet, to bury the pain. No one listened, I ran away in vain. Misunderstood, labeled rebellious and bad. School a nightmare, a path feeling sad. Drugs became my escape, numbing the hurt, leading to choices that only made things worse. Lost in addiction, seeking solace and vice, choosing partners who threatened me unkind, abused and broken with children to care for, unable to show them love, burdened with despair. Psychiatric meds, a diagnosis untrue, making the pain that only grew. Therapy tried in vain. No one saw the truth through the veil of pain. Surviving abuse, violence, battles within, overcoming suicide, overdoses, brims dim. Finally, finding my voice as my children grew, sharing my story, seeking what's true, confiding in my pastor, finding a way to break free from the chains that led me astray. 18 years in recovery, a long journey, earning my diploma and standing strong. I'm a lousy reader, okay? Father lost in 2011, buys unsaid. Driven now to help others who've bled, seeking a degree to guide those in need, a light in darkness, planting the seed. Through mental breakdowns, struggles so deep, standing before you, my story to keep. Sharing my truth, a beacon of hope, facing adversity, in ways to cope. Life's been hard, but I'm still here, showing that healing is near. From addiction to love, from despair to grace. I'm standing before you in this sacred space.
That is beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah. And I
You
dedicate
mentioned something so powerful earlier in the conversation, that sometimes it's not comfortable to talk about God. And I wanna change that a little bit because um there's no coincidence, and I'm gonna share you because I'm Christian. I was raised in a very Catholic home. But I say Christian because I'm been building a relationship with the Lord, so I'm more inclined on the relationship rather than the religion. And everything that's been happening lately, everybody I'm talking to comes with a message of God. So there's no coincidence in my world or the people that I'm meeting and the people that I'm encountering, because the people that I'm meeting have the message of God in their life, in their purpose. And it seems that He's pairing us all in the same community connection to create that healing community, because I truly believe that your journey and as hardship and the hard that you've been through, no one deserves that. But I also believe that God gives, He chooses the right words. We have groups that are chosen. He
He puts
chooses,
it in our path.
He puts it in our path because He won't give us more than we can handle. And a lot of the stuff that we go through is because He wants others to learn the grace, the blessings, because you're still standing here through everything you've been through as a child,
Yes.
as a young adult. And now you're here. And what you're doing now is sharing your story to help others. And you say you only want to help one person. I have no doubt, Mary, that you're helping more than one person because your story is very inspiring. And as hard as that journey has been for you, you're here. You have ganas, you're a valiente, you have courage. And you say, regardless of the age, you're still doing, and you're not done.
Not
You're not done.
done.
You're
I'm
not
not
done.
done. I know.
So you're an
I know.
inspiration to your kids, to your grandkids, to the young girls that are listening to you when you go visit these locations to share your story. And you're now planting those seeds. So thank you for sharing that with us and
Thank
being
you.
vulnerable with us here. With
Thank
me,
you.
there's going to be a lot of people listening to your story. And I thank you for taking the time to do that. So, but you know what? I was looking at the book because you shared that with me, and it's only like a little portion of that book. But I
Yes.
don't doubt that you can easily write your whole book because your
No.
story is one that is not just a chapter. I believe you can feel that in a whole book.
Oh,
Have
I
you
know.
considered creating an entire book of your
You
story?
know, I never thought that possible because I always thought people that write books, I know we have a couple of writers here, Sonia Gutierrez, she has books that we've read in English, and I've met her personally because she's also a teacher. But after this, I never thought it possible because I thought like, wow, that's a long process. You have to get the editor, you have to get it proofread, and it has to be edited, and it has to be approved. So it's a lot. And I know they've try to encourage me to do that. I said, well, let's see what happens here on the first one. Cause I know
Well,
I'm
you're an
not the
author
only
now.
story. Yes,
You're an author
it's here.
now,
Yes, it's here.
So there's a lot of us that I'm aspiring to write my book, and I'm writing it. You already accomplished part of the stuff that I'm not there yet.
Yes.
But because I know you
It's
already
getting
did it,
connected.
you connected, and you can connect with some of the episodes that I have and reach out to some of the Latinas that they're all in San Diego. They're already authors. I have incredible Elsa Sevilla. We have other Latinas that are going to be sharing their experience in writing books. And there's a lot of writing books clubs here in San Diego you could part of, but you're already there. You're actually already there. You can say, I'm an author, and you can say, I'm an author, and you can share the story. But
that would be great because, I know this book is, once we get a couple extra copies, we'll take it into the juvenile halls, take it in there so that they'll be able to read it also, because it's also, they'll get to see other people's stories and how other people, went from darkness to hope, and that's what mine's titled From Darkness to Hope. Because I was once in that dark world, but there's hope. There's still hope, and we're still doing it. Like it says in Isaías. And I can't say it in English. I don't know. I guess because estoy más acostumbrada a hablar en español. That when I try to speak in Spanish, I'm like, Isaías. But tell us we can have beauty from ashes. Okay, from the ashes I have risen, and I'm flourishing. I'm grow. Like Tupac says, the rose that rose from the concrete. We were buried under there, but it didn't stop us. The cracked concrete, I was still able to rise and flourish. No matter how deep the seed was planted, I was able to So that's how I see myself. I'm flourishing. My mentality is like, I can do more, and I'm going to keep doing more. I'm going to continue.
Amen. Amen. And I know you will do it, so I want to see that. Like I said, I can't wait to get a book and then get it signed. I'm interested in reading. You share that with me, but I'm interested in reading your journey and then looking forward to seeing you create your own entire book. I think your
Thank you.
journey, your full journey needs to be shared and need to be told. And
Thank
as
you.
you know that writing is very therapeutic, right?
It is very
It's
therapeutic,
just
and music.
releasing, right? Very releasing. So I know you're working on a lot of different things, especially with a nonprofit. What else are you working on?
Working on transferring to Cal State San Marcos, like I said. Once I'm there, then I will probably be hopefully getting a job soon because I've already been putting in applications. Like I said, I want to either work at St. Vincent de Paul's. I have friends that work there that were on the same journey, and they say, "Oh, you'd be great here. You'd be great because you never forget where you came from, right? You never forget where you came from." And I know what it was like to be homeless with my children. I know what it's like to be working in the community, and that's what I'll be able to do. I go once a week here also too on Wednesdays, place here at Oceanside. It's called Humanity Showers. And he was also a student here at Maricosta. And after he got his bachelor's, he decided, you know what? I'm going to get back to the community. And he has this little like trailer thing that has like 6 showers back to back. He takes it and he parks it at a church here in Oceanside. And the homeless come once a week. They get 15 minutes to take a shower, a shave. We have barbers come there and give their time and donate their time. They give fresh haircuts. We have people that go sometimes and give donations, like bring clothes. And you know how amazing that feels to have these people that are homeless and you meet. I mean, you know how you say that saying, "You find a diamond in the rough." We've actually had a couple people from Humanity Showers come and sign out at Maricosta, become students, from homeless to students.
That's awesome.
It's a
Where
great
is this
feeling.
at? Where in
This is,
Oceanside is this?
it's in Oceanside by the Oceanside High School. It's called Humanity Showers.
When and what time?
As every Wednesdays from 7:30 till 12:30, where they could come and they get like 15 minutes in a shower. And if they're very lucky, they get clean clothes, hygiene kit. They get a warm meal because the church gives out whatever donations they get of food. They come and they hand out like hygiene bags. And, it's a blessing because people find out about this place and then they go at that time and they'll take donations. We have people that go that take warm food, take clothes. Yeah.
That's
So,
amazing. I'm
yeah.
gonna connect with you after our episode so I can
Yeah.
get
And I'll give you the
information and
information. Humanity
share
Showers.
it.
And
Yeah,
yes.
and share it because part of what we have a lot of nonprofits that are combining and getting together. You're part of one, I'm part of another. And part of it
Yeah.
is creating that closer community to continue helping each other. And
Yes. And I
that's the
also
first time
take
I
my
hear it.
grandchildren there so they could help. They could see, mira, valoren lo que tienen, because look at these people. They don't have a place to live. They don't have a
Yeah.
place to eat. But just to see the joy on their face for like 10, 15 minutes and a clean shower and clean clothes, how it feels.
Yeah.
Por
That's
eso les
great.
digo, valoren lo que tienen en casa.
Yeah. That's great that you're teaching, the kids to get involved in the community. It's very
Yeah,
important. It's very
that's
important
true.
that they do
It
that.
is very true.
So that's great. You're doing a great, see, you're doing a lot already, not just, with your grandkids, but you're also in the community. So
Yeah.
what motivates you? I see that, you have a lot of plans. Graduation is right around the block for you, which is great. What else motivates you?
But it's basic is to be able to have young women and the students see and inspire them. That what I'm doing and what my story has to inspire them to say, like, you know what, no matter what brick wall you run into, there's always a way around it, and that's how it was for me. I was able to like find my way around that brick wall and get over it and say, hey, you know what? I'm not on the other side anymore. I'm on this side. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't. I just think like, wow, I'm not that person anymore. I feel like I've grown. I feel different. I feel happy. I'm always smiling and like, but why do you always smile? Why? I go, you know what? Because I don't have all that, that emptiness, that dead feeling that I used to have anymore. I'm like, I feel alive. I feel alive. I feel joy. I feel like, wow, I could say hi to this person today and, I could see how they're in pain. I share my story. I'm just like, what motivates me is that having these young women look up to me and say, you know what, to get their confianza that they could trust me, they could share their story with me, and to build that trust that I could, hey, mija, you know what, there's this resource for you. There's plenty of resources out there that I didn't know existed, for women and victims of, trauma. There's programs, there's groups, and I didn't have all that stuff as being back then. I didn't. What I turned to was drugs.
Well, I'm glad that you are able to share your story with us because one of the key things that it's part of the culture is, and you set it up at the beginning of your story, we're expected to stay quiet and that is not helping us. So the more we share the stories and our journey, it's helping us heal. But more importantly, I think it's important for us to teach our girls of all ages that it's not okay to stay quiet.
It's not okay to
Our
stay quiet.
voices do
And
matter.
not to feel the shame, not to be embarrassed, because that's how it was with me for many, many years. Oh no, okay. But no, it happens, and it happens in a lot of ¿cómo se dice? It happens in a lot of in the Mexican culture, right? Even though there's none of us, or we're used to, we have that instilled in us. We were raised Catholic too, going to Catholic school. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you're changing that, changing that at home and changing it with the nonprofit. And so kudos to you. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. That's
Thank
going
you.
to be inspiring. And I'm looking forward to what you're working on next. So
Oh,
what kind of word or wisdom, I know you've mentioned what motivates you, what kind of wisdom, if you can give wisdom, what kind of words would that be?
to never give up and believe in yourself. I didn't mention this, but because of the years of the drug use, the chemicals that I was putting in my body, I live with congestive heart failure and lupus. Okay. I've had 3 heart procedures. 2 times I went into, like, they almost lost me, then cardiac arrest. The last one is like, they really almost lost me. So, like, I know I've almost died on the table and this and that. But with the use of drugs for so many years, I learned differently. I'm an audio and visual learner. Okay. A little bit of dyslexia and ADHD. So if I bounce from here to there. Okay. So I never thought I could learn in school because I'm like, no, soy muy mensa, soy muy burra. The way I read, the way I study is different. I get a lot of support here from school because there's SAS, with Students Accessibility Service with learning disabilities, because I have all that, because of my drug use at an early age. So I'm very proud to be able to speak to other students about that, because a lot of people say, okay, I have this learning disability. I have ADHD, dyslexia, and all this stuff. I can't go to school. Yes, you can. I have all that and I'm able to learn. There's audiovisual services that they help you with. You can put your books on your computer. You learn audibly, visually, they have it read back to you. So I'm not ashamed to say that I use all those services because that's how I learn. Yes, I have to have someone sometimes help me read the questions to me. But look where I'm at now, I'm on the honor roll at I'm Phi Theta Kappa, student. I'm graduating, it's just like, no importa, tú te crees burra. No, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. You can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. There's all kinds of resources. There are all kinds of resources. Never be afraid to ask. Always ask. Always.
Yes. So true. Great advice. Great advice. Here's one question I always ask all my guests, because this is part of the Inner Niña healing community. So if you had a chance to go back in time and talk to your little Inner Niña, what would you tell her?
Mija, mira hasta donde llegaste. Todo está bien. Yo estoy aquí, te estoy cuidando, I'm taking care of you. And what you always wanted to be, you're doing it now. You're being able to speak up and share my voice. I'm sharing my voice. I'm sharing my story. You don't have to keep it hidden anymore. Yo te estoy cuidando and I'm here and I'm talking about it. Y todo va a estar bien.
Great reminder. And I wish I can reach out and hug you from where I'm at. So I just want to let you know that I don't need to see you in person now, because you're going to get a big tight hug from me. I've been inspired by your story, and I know it's vulnerable. Part of it is putting our wall down so we can share those painful memories. And my heart goes out to you because I can feel your pain as you're telling your story. So I am honored to have you as a guest and have you share your story. And thank you for trusting me and our Inner Niña community to hear your story and share it with the rest of our audience. And I know that you're going to be great at whatever you're doing because you're determined. And it's ganas. And it's ganas, and that's not going to stop you. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have a little event. We're going to be getting together in Barrio Logan soon.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah. It's, we're going to be hanging out at Sandy Sandals at her location.
That would be nice.
Just a little sidetrack, because I went to junior college in East LA. So Barrio Logan to me reminds me of East LA, because I grew up in the LA area. So when I'm there,
I lived in Barrio Logan for a very long time, so I know the community. It's changed a lot. You know what? And like to say this word of mouth or networking stuff, because it's the trip, because just a little bit off here, because now that I share my journey, I share everything on, not as much on Facebook, because I really don't do Facebook that much. I'll share my accomplishments and everything, but it's like TikTok and everything, because TikTok gives you so much time to talk. So word of mouth, people see me, people from my past, people that, where I'm already supposed to be retiring and like doing whatever. Yo estoy aquí. I know it's not a big thing. People get excited, like, oh, I'm going to earn my associates. Yo ya estoy grande. So people see me now getting excited for something that I should be retiring, but it's okay, because what I'm trying to get at is like people that I know that see what I'm doing now, they say, hey, you know what? I know somebody, this and this and that. Do you mind talking to him? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'm a madrina to a couple of people. Tengo una muchacha in Zacatecas that I don't know her personally, but I talk to her and I'm mentoring her over, through social media and messaging like that, So, como dice ella, soy su madrina. And then I have another one, a couple in San Diego and National City. And that's all through word of mouth. People like, hey, you know what, if you don't mind, because they see my story, they see. So, yeah. So this is like when you connect with the right people or they see what you're doing and they see like, hey, don't be ashamed to speak up of what happened to you. Don't be ashamed. You know what? Conozco esta mujer y habla con ella. So that's what happens. So like, okay, that's good.
Well, you were a mentor, like you talked about when you were little, you didn't have anybody to talk to or give you advice or guidance. Now you're being that solid sounding board for other women who are wanting some guidance and advice. And you're coming from corazón. From the corazón, you're sharing your story. So that's giving them hope and that's giving them courage for them. Maybe they're on the fence of what to do next. And you're, by you sharing your stories or giving them a little guidance, is helping them push in the right direction. So you're doing great. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much for this time.
Yeah. So I want to say thank you again, Mary, for joining us today, sharing your story.
It was an honor.
Being part of our Inner Niña community. To our listeners, thank you for listening and holding space for me. I am Maria Benitez, and this is our journey together. Until next time. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for holding space for me. And thank you for allowing me to walk beside you as you heal your inner niña. Until next time, please don't forget to follow and subscribe.